Part 2. Everyone thought it was an accident. Annabelle hadn't meant to say that it was. She wasn't even sure if she thought she was guilty or not. But as soon as she started telling the story to Harry, through sobs and tears, he finished her sentences for her. It was a crazy accident, he said, and it wasn't Annabelle's fault. It couldn't be her fault. In TV shows and movies, people would have suspected her immediately. The jealous sister, tired of hiding in the dark. But real people weren't like that. The public had never heard of her, and nobody who knew her wanted to believe that she had killed someone. Harry handled it all incredibly well. Annabelle was sure he was going to blame her, but he never once did so. He made sure the body was found quickly and that no paparazzi pictures were taken. He spoke to the media, telling them that she had fallen, no mention of Annabelle's being there, and that she was being taken to a private hospital. That part made no sense. She was dead. Anyone could see that. But Harry insisted it was for the best, and so Annabelle agreed to it. As long as the public believed she was alive, a part of her could believe it too. And then, a few months after Angeline's death, Harry came to Annabelle with another offer. As soon as Annabelle stepped on stage, she knew it was a mistake. There were hundreds of thousands of people in front of her. She wasn't Angeline. She wasn't used to having the attention of 10 people, and there was so much more than that here. But as soon as the lights hit her, the performer inside her woke up. She might not have been Angie, but she wasn't Anna anymore either. With her dyed hair and plastic surgery, she looked exactly like her dead sister. Well, not exactly, but someone would only know if they looked close up. And ever since her accident, Angie had started to care about her privacy. She picked up the microphone, smiled like an angel, and began to sing. The first song went well. She'd had classes to make her sound as close to Angie as possible, although she couldn't quite hit all the high notes. That was all right though, because they could mix in Angie's vocals during the concert. Harry had made some comment about using old samples from the recording studio, and insisted that all pop stars mixed in pre-recorded vocals with live performance. The crowd cheered, and Anna smiled. So this was how Angie felt, seeing 10,000 smiling faces looking up at her. She felt like a god. The band played the intro for Butterfly Head, and Anna lifted the microphone to her mouth. And then another voice came through the speakers. At first, Annabelle thought it must just be the effect of hearing her own voice through the sound system. She was used to hearing Angie sing Butterfly Head. But then, during a quieter part of the music, she realised it wasn't her voice at all. Her voice was coming quietly out of her mouth, disconnected from the microphone, and the one coming through the sound system was her sister's. But Angeline was dead. With horror, Anna continued to sing, and so did Angie. Was she dreaming? She wanted to pinch herself, like her sister used to always do. But no, this was real. The lights, the music, the shouts of the people, it was all too real. When the concert finished, Anna had a pretty good idea of what was going on, but she had to speak to Harry to make sure. When he saw her approaching, he gave a guilty smile. So, you figured it out, huh? You synthesized my sister's voice, she said, trying to sound calm. That's what you were doing all that time, working on that secret project. Harry sighed. Ugh, you must think I'm evil. In the past, voice synthesizers were terrible. You could always tell it wasn't real. It's only recently they've become so good. And when a new technology reaches that level of sophistication, you have to start using it before everyone else does. He said it so simply, like he was just talking to another dumb pop star. She supposed he was. You promised me I would get to sing. I tied my hair. I got the fucking plastic surgery. I made myself into my sister. Shh, come on. Let's go inside my room to talk. Most of the crew probably knew the secret, but it wasn't good to talk about it so close to the public. So she let him lead her to his dressing room. She noticed that he had a framed photo of Angeline in the corner. He blushed and quickly hid it. Look, I never promised you. I said it was a possibility. You got to do the first song, didn't you? But Butterfly Head is all high notes, very airy. There's no way the public would believe it's the same voice, as lovely as yours is. Too mature, she muttered. A few years ago, I started recording samples with all my stars. I experimented with the synthesizers just to see if we could use it for backup vocals, but I never planned on using it like this, until... Anna felt sick. Recently, he'd been mentioning the incident more and more. He never looked her in the eye when he did. There are the guys in suits, you understand? I don't have as much freedom as you think. As soon as they found out what happened, they made me do this. I care about the art as well, you know. The guys in suits, though, it's all about money to them. Listen, Harry, that girl was ready to make us billions of dollars. I don't care if you have to replace her with a robot, just do it. I know I wasn't honest with you. I'm sorry. But this way, you at least get to perform. Anna was amazed at how good an actor he was. Or maybe he really did believe he was innocent. Still, she could see the logic in his words. I don't know if I can go on with this. She touched her face. God, had she really changed her face to look like Angie? He nodded. I understand. I won't make you go on forever. Just an album. That should make enough money, and you won't even have to do a tour. No album, a single. Harry sucked in air through his teeth. Look, I want to be nice, but I don't have that much of a choice in this, and I've kept your secret all this time. Anna's body went cold. Once again, she felt butterflies being born inside her stomach, and she wanted to throw up. If the public finds out you've been pretending to be your sister, your dead sister, well, they won't be too happy. You're a monster, and you're Angeline, the cutest pop star in the world. That night, Anna wasn't sure if she slept or not. She had a dream, but it felt so real that it could have actually happened. Angeline came in through her window, shining like a real angel. Anna tried to speak, but she couldn't. Angeline opened her mouth and spoke for her. I know you didn't mean to hurt me, Anna. And I'm sorry I ever hurt you. Anna thought, how can you forgive me for what I've done? Angie smiled, and it was so bright Anna had to close her eyes. Everything will be okay. I can't promise you won't suffer, but things will be better. When Anna opened her eyes, Angeline was gone. The day after, Anna had another concert. It was in their hometown. She drank 5 cans of Red Bull and hid in her room until she absolutely had to leave. This time, there was no excitement, only fear. But she was a professional, and she'd give a good show. She had to. The crowd was smaller than the one from the day before. Their little hometown didn't have any huge venues, but it felt twice as full. She opened with Butterfly Head, and it hurt to remember how innocent Angie had been when the song had first come out. But halfway through the song, something strange happened. Angie's voice suddenly cut out. The musicians didn't realise, however, and kept playing. For a moment, Anna panicked, worrying that the crowd would realise what was happening. But then Angie started singing again, and this time the words were different. My name is Angeline, you're probably wondering where I've been. My sister's name is Annabelle, she writes the songs you know so well. We stood on a cliff in Malibu. We argued over who loved who. She pushed me once and then I fell. I broke my head and that was... Look, I was never as good at writing lyrics as her, okay? The important thing is, I'm dead and... The speakers suddenly cut out and the place fell silent. Thousands of faces stared up at Annabelle. Suddenly, her face looked different. It was similar to Angeline's, but not quite the same. A man from the back was the first to say it. "That's not Angeline! That's her sister!" The voices came faster then, and louder. Someone threw a lighter at Anna and hit her in the head. Before they could throw anything heavier, she ran away. Annabelle's trial took place a few weeks later. All that time, the media went crazy, publishing story after story about the mad sister who had killed Angeline out of jealousy. Annabelle tried to avoid the stories, but it was like the entire world was screaming at her. Every night she hoped Angeline might return in her dreams, but she never did, and now she was convinced that her sister wanted to punish her. Fortunately, she still had plenty of money to hire a good lawyer. She didn't have to do much during the trial, just repeat what her lawyer had told her to say. It seemed to go on forever, though, and with each passing minute, Annabelle imagined her life in prison, being known as the sister murderer. But to her surprise, she got off free. Nobody had seen the incident, the judge argued, and the strange issue with the synthesizer had never happened again. Besides, they could hardly use a robot song as evidence. So that was that. She was innocent. Of course, that didn't matter to the public. To them, she was a murderer, and they didn't need evidence to cancel her and end her career. Annabelle was forced to leave social media, leave her hometown, and hide away in California. She hoped that the media would eventually lose interest and give her some privacy, but at the same time, she wasn't sure she deserved it. Annabelle never wrote music again, but she sometimes listened back to the first few singles she'd made with her sister, especially Tears on a Broadsheet. Now when she listened, she could hear herself on the track. Not her actual voice, of course, but Angeline sang differently when it was a song that Annabelle had written, and on this one she almost sounded happy to be singing with her sister, even though the mixed vocals had probably been kept a secret from her. Anna knew now that she had never really wanted to be on a stage in front of tens of thousands of people. 100 would have been enough. If she'd never made that deal with Harry, maybe she would have gotten that. One day, Anna had a crazy idea. She travelled to Harry's house in Malibu, knowing it was the time of year when he stayed there. She made sure to stay well away from the cliffs and drove up to visit him. He was polite to her, which was more than she could have hoped for. She hadn't rung to tell him she was coming in case he called her a murderer and refused to let her in. It was hard to remember that there were still people who liked her, given the thousands of people online every day who screamed hate at her. They had a drink. Harry had Malibu, which seemed like a bad joke, and Anna had a martini. Then she finally said what she had come there to say. "Harry, I have an offer for you. I want to buy something." When she told him what it was, he didn't seem surprised, just sad. "Forget about the money," he said. "I'll give it to you for free. I feel too guilty having it here." So he went and got it for her. It was just a little black box, and it was hard to believe the treasure it contained. But to Anna, it was everything. Anna switched on the computer. It was 9 p.m, the usual time they did their Friday night show at the bar. It had taken her a long time to get the program set up, but she refused to ask for help. She needed to do this by herself. She hit play and the music started. She got into position and, when it was time, she sang. They sang. Bottle and a cap, fiddle and a bow, sprinkles on ice cream and Christmas with snow. We go together like sisters, 'cause that's what we are. My name is Angeline, I always keep my nose clean. And my name is Annabelle, I'm the one with all of the brain cells. The synthesized voice sounded just like Angeline had when she was alive. Their voices mixed perfectly together, like they always had. And just for those brief moments, Anna could pretend that Angie was alive again, that they really were performing together. They sang the final notes, and she raised her arms up in the air, smiling wider than she had in years. And through the open window, in the garden, a butterfly flapped its wings. It sounded like the clapping of an angel. The end.